welcome to today's episode of the Bird's Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Today is Friday, January 27th, and on Sunday we have the upcoming NFC Championship Game with the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco, of course, coming off of a 10-game win streak that got them into the postseason, and then coming off of 2 straight wins, including last week's divisional round win over the Dallas Cowboys, game that everybody was enjoying, and somehow I think we weren't 100% sure who we were rooting for. But now the Eagles are here. They are here in the NFC Championship Game. They are hosting the 49ers, and this is the 5 keys that we have to winning this game. We're going to start with stopping the run. Very simply put, the Eagles need to do this from the jump. We're going to start on the defensive side of the ball. Elijah Mitchell, who is listed as questionable in Friday's injury report, had 14 carries for 51 yards on Sunday versus Dallas. Christian McCaffrey, their number 2 running back in the game on Sunday, 10 carries for 35 yards. These were big impacts in a very low-scoring game that kept the clock moving, wore down Dallas's defense to the point where San Francisco was able to put up 19 points in a game where it was tough to put up any points in that game. San Francisco ranked 8th in the league in rushing yards per game at 138.8 yards per game, and 10th in the league in rushing yards per play at 4.68 yards per play on average. That is actually higher than the Eagles. The Eagles were at 13th in that stat, 4.61 yards per play. The Eagles did outrank San Francisco in rushing yards per game. The Eagles defense, on the other hand, the Eagles defense was tied for 16th in the league in rushing yards per game at 121.6 and 24th in rushing yards per play. These were allowed stats compared to the offensive stats for San Francisco. So it is really, really important that the Eagles shore up the run defense here, making sure that San Francisco has no chance in the run game, and making sure that the San Francisco 49ers can only resort to the pass, where the Eagles have been exceptional. Key number 2 for what will it take to beat the 49ers is owning the line of scrimmage. We have 2 standout defenses taking the field. Again, total yards per game, San Francisco is 1st, Philadelphia is 2nd, league-wise in the regular season. The Eagles were 1st in yards per play in the league in regular season action, as well as in passing yards per game and passing yards per play. And they were also 1st in the league in sacks per pass. That's going to be a really critical factor here, because Brock Purdy, as Mr. Irrelevant, as he's called, being the very last pick in the NFL draft, needs to have some pressure applied to him. The Eagles rank 1st in sacks per passing attempt. That is a whopping 12.59% of passes that ended in a sack by the Eagles defense. It is really going to be important to get to Brock Purdy, shake him up, get him off kilter. And meanwhile, on the offensive side of the ball there, the Eagles need to own the line of scrimmage themselves. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, these guys all need to have a standout performance if they're going to beat one of the most successful teams in the NFC. Key number 3 is going to be winning the turnover battle. The Eagles have been very good in the turnover battle. They've been tied for 4th with 27 takeaways in the regular season. San Francisco, meanwhile, has been better. They were tied for 2nd with 30. This was league-wide over the regular season. Meanwhile, on giving the ball away, the Eagles have given the ball away 19 times over the course of the regular season. They've been tied for 5th in that statistic, whereas San Francisco owns 3rd place outright with 17 giveaways. So it is going to be really, really important. It all comes down to ownership here. We talked about owning the line of scrimmage. Stopping the run is going to be critically important to that. Owning the line of scrimmage offensively. Owning the football. Securing the football. Making sure the football is not given away. Making sure that we have the opportunity to go down the field and score. Make San Francisco earn the ball back. Don't just give it away to them. Big key for the Eagles in that regard is going to be cornerback Avonte Maddox, who was listed as a full participant on Friday. He is still questionable to return, but he did participate fully in practice, and he was listed as a limited participant the rest of the week. Meanwhile, on the 49ers side, cornerback Ambry Thomas is also listed as questionable for this game. Key number 4 is going to be the penalties. So far during the regular season and the postseason, the Eagles have been penalized 110 times for a grand total of 707 yards. The Eagles have also been penalized 9 times for ineligible man downfield. This is a side effect of the Eagles' RPO-heavy offense. That's going to happen. You're going to have more of that as the Eagles' offensive line doesn't really know until the last moment what Jalen's going to be doing with the football, whether or not he's going to be handing it off, whether or not he's going to be looking downfield for a pass. It's understandable, but it needs to not happen. It comes at stupid times periodically where they often negate big plays. The head coach, the offensive and defensive coordinators have been talking all week about discipline, making sure that discipline is stressed, that the fundamentals are stressed. This is going to be big. Why? Because the best disciplined teams are the teams that win the football games, teams that aren't turning the ball over, teams that aren't committing stupid penalties. The Eagles have the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl if they win on Sunday over the San Francisco 49ers. They really need to stop anything that would get in the way of that and try to keep that which they can control under control. Biggest thing for that would be those penalties. The last key to the game is an off the field one, kind of. It's making sure that the bright lights don't mess with you. The NFC Championship Game is one of the biggest stages in the NFL. The entire football world wants to know who's going to be playing in 2 weeks. The Eagles have that opportunity for the first time in 5 years. These opportunities as Philly fans don't come around often for us. For the first time in 5 years, we're playing for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. The Eagles need to make sure that they stay cool under all of that pressure. Jason Kelce said in the press conference this morning, the stakes are higher, but you're still playing the same game. Nick Sirianni has said that he has not altered any of his preparation, that he has not altered any of the core messaging that would go around. It's this game. There's certainly an understandable degree of some of those jitters. One of the best things about this is that the Eagles do have that playoff experience. They do have the last year where they went up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card rounds. Now, unfortunately, the Eagles lost that game last year, but that gives guys experience. It gives guys an understanding of how does it really work in the playoffs. It also helps that there are a lot of leaders on the team that Nick Sirianni can look to. Guys who were on the team during that magical 2017 run when the Philadelphia Eagles won Super Bowl 52, giving the Philadelphia fans their first victory in Super Bowl history in the Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni really had a message for the fans on Thursday. He just wanted us to be ourselves, to be who we are. Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator for the Eagles, he indicated as well coming into Philadelphia when he took over the defensive coordinator position. He told Nick Sirianni that Gannon told Sirianni that his reaction was very simply put, whoa. Very simply put, whoa. There's not much more that you can say to that. Philadelphia fans know how to bring excitement. They know how to bring the enthusiasm, and they know how to get on the nerves of the other team. The San Francisco 49ers earlier today, their fans decided to put a 49ers jersey on the Rocky statue outside of the art museum, something that echoed what Minnesota did to us 5 years ago. Hopefully the outcome 5 years ago is repeated in this weekend. That would be quite the time being a flat circle situation. But the Eagles need to make sure that the bright lights don't get to them. The air is much rarer when you get to the NFC Championship game. It is quite a statement to say that you were one of the last 4 teams remaining in this season. But the Eagles can't let that get to their head. It sounds like Nick Sirianni's doing everything that he can to keep that from happening. We'll see just how successful he is on Sunday, and we'll see just how successful the fans are. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think are going to be keys to the game? You can always check us out here at the Bird's Nest Media YouTube page, as well as birdsnestmedia.com, as well as on Bird's Nest Media in most social media channels. It's at Bird's Nest FB for Twitter. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Joe Donahue, and let's go Eagles.